All right, welcome to today's lesson in the Find a New Way to Live challenge. Today we're going to be talking about what are you worth? Now, this principle is going to be tapping into a belief system that you have about yourself. And what we hope to do today is to help you understand that you've been living based on a belief system that's led you to where you are today and may prevent you from growing in the future. So when we talk about what are you worth, what I'm actually referring to is what do you believe that you are worth? What is your contribution to the world and what is that worth in return for you? I want to share a short story with you that will help you better understand this principle and this concept to help you get a better framework in your mind about how this can actually apply to your life. So I once asked a man, this is a true story. I once asked him, I said, what are you worth? I knew the man for a short period of time and I knew that he had a couple talents and a couple skills, but I didn't believe that he was fully tapping into them. So I asked the man, I said, what are you worth? And he said, I'm worth $8 an hour. The man that answered that question, he worked at a factory. He was a entry-level employee. He had worked there for about 6 months. He worked hard. He worked 10, 12-hour days. He worked on the weekends. He worked 6 or 7 days in a row. And this man was talented, right? But I asked him, I said, what are you worth? And in his mind, he said he was worth $8 an hour. So I go on to learn a little bit more about the man, and I realized that this man was an artist and that he carried a portfolio with him that carried some of his best work. And this man, a lot of people can draw, some people are really good, but this man was great. He could draw and he could articulate and he could envision the picture and the portrait in his mind. He wouldn't even have to be sitting in front of what he was drawing. He could envision it in his mind, and he just did great work. This man could have went around to local businesses. He could have drew portraits. He could have went anywhere and done anything. And if he would have increased his skill set and his abilities to increase the knowledge that he needed to improve what he was worth, he could have been making a lot more than $8 an hour. And I shared this with the man. I said, look, you could go to businesses here in town and you could paint portraits of their building and frame them and offer to sell them to them for whatever you would ask for. And he really just couldn't comprehend. He couldn't understand what I was trying to deliver to him in the message, but he chose to continue working for $8 an hour. Now, I've shared this lesson with a lot of other folks, and some people have really been able to grab a hold of this concept and really challenge their thinking and ask themselves, what am I worth? If I'm working at a job and I'm making $8, $10, $11 an hour, that's great that we actually have a job and we earn a living, but what would I have to do to increase my worth to where I made double or triple that? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I want you to remember that story of the man because I want you to be able to challenge yourself, challenge your thinking and your belief system to be able to get to a better understanding on how you can increase your worth. Most people who have not realized their gift, invested in their self-education, and created a way to add value to the world will end up just like this man, working for far less than what they're worth. So the first question is, what are you worth? In your own definition, in your own terms, what are you worth? And why are you worth this? So maybe you're unemployed right now, or maybe you actually have a job and maybe you're underemployed. But maybe you have a job and maybe you just have never challenged yourself, maybe never challenged your belief system to actually ask yourself, what am I truly worth? Because what I want you to do and invest in the time and energy in this program is to increase your skill set, to increase your self-worth and increase your imagination and your vision for what you're worth. That way, as you continue to grow, you can do and have and become anything that you want to do. So like I said, if the man in this story could have read one book or on sales or advertising, he could have very well made a fortune with his art. But he never took the time to learn the skills and to develop his talents and to network with the right people. That way he could take his natural given abilities and learn how to add value to the world, which would in turn create everything that he ever wanted. So this man continued to work at this factory for $8 an hour, 6 or 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day, basically slaving his life away because he didn't take the time to actually do what was necessary to increase his worth. He had a fixed belief system that would not allow him to deepen his imagination, to take the risk and to take the sacrifice in learning and developing the skill set that he could have done, and he could have made a lot more money doing what he loved to do. So I want to ask you this, what must happen for you to be able to double or triple what you are currently worth? So if you say, look, right now, I'm a driver, or I like to do this, or I like to do that, and I'm worth this, right? If that's your fixed belief system you have about yourself, I want you to take what you are currently worth, double or triple that number, and then ask yourself, what must happen in order for me to be worth this? I want you to really challenge yourself, challenge your thinking, and to be able to think creatively about this, because you may not get the answer you're looking for by just watching this video. You may not get the answer that you're looking for just by thinking about it and writing it down. But I tell you what this will do is it will plant a seed in your mind, and this will challenge your thinking. And later on, you're going to be thinking, wow, what would I have to do to be able to double or triple what I'm worth? Who could help me do that? What could I learn? Where could I go? How could I grow? What could I read? What could I watch? What could I do? And I want you to really seriously put some time and effort into thinking about this, because I want you to increase what you're worth. Everybody around you wants to increase what you're worth, and I know you want to increase what you're worth. So when you start to think about what must happen in order for you to double or triple what you're currently worth, right? You have to ask yourself, what skills must you learn to be worth more to the company, to your community, to yourself, to your family? What skills must you learn to be able to double or triple what you're worth? So it may be starting out with a GED, it may be starting out with an education, it may be starting out with going to the library and reading some free books, checking some books out, taking them home. If this man who was a painter could have just went to the local library for free and checked out some books on how to sell, on how to advertise, on how to market, on how to increase your art abilities, this man really, truly, I believe, could have made a fortune doing what he loved to do. And if I could show you a picture of his artwork, I really would, and you would be like, wow, this man really had skills. But the man chose to work for $8 an hour. So what I want you to do is I want you to understand that we all have skills and we all have abilities, and we must develop the discipline and the habit of increasing our skill set and investing in ourselves. That way we can take whatever it is that we're naturally good at, that we enjoy doing, and be able to learn how to do it better. And in turn, what that's going to do is it's going to increase our self-worth. It's going to increase our worth that we are compensated for. So I want you to think about that. Next, I want to talk about, I know a lot of people who make about $10 an hour, right? I know some salesmen, I know some bookkeepers, I know a lot of different people who make up $10 an hour. Just seems to be the average wage around town. And then I know a lot of people who make sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, even 10 times what the one person makes, and they do the same job. For example, I know a few salesmen who make about $10 an hour. From time to time, they'll make a couple of sales and get some commission and earn a little bit more money than the $10 an hour they usually get. But at the same time, if you get to talk to these folks, which I've done, I'll ask them, I'll say, who makes the most money at your job? And they'll tell me that some folks make up to $20, $30, $40, even $1,000 per hour when they have the same job. Right? Obviously, the one that's making a lot more money has been invested in the profession a lot longer. For example, the salesman, he may have been selling cars or houses or anything for 10, 15, 25 years, and he has developed his craft, and he has been able to actually increase his worth because he has invested the time and energy and the necessary worth that he's had to do to be able to create a better worth for himself. So I want to ask you, I said, do you think that it's fair, right? Do you think that it's fair that some folks earn $10 per hour and others earn up to $1,000 per hour when they have the same job? Is that fair, right? For example, a coach, a banker, a personal trainer, a coach, a teacher, a consultant. Do you believe that this is fair? I want you to be able to understand that this is what's going on in the world, and you need to be able to take responsibility for your own life to be able to develop a better self-worth for yourself. That way you can in turn have everything that you want. Because the whole purpose of this Find a New Way to Live program is to help you understand who you are, what you want, where you want to be, and then how you can go from where you are to get there. So this concept is going to be one that has to sink in. It's not, like I said, it's not going to just click just like that. It might for some folks, I've met some folks and shared this same story with them, and it's just clicked, and they've been able to take this information and been able to apply it to their life. I'll share another story with you. I once shared the same story with a man. He worked at a family business. He made about $8 or $10 an hour, and I shared this "what are you worth" concept with him, right? And so he had a job with his family business for several years. He had worked with them. All his family worked with him, but they didn't make a lot of money. He didn't make a lot of money. And I shared with him, I said, "What are you worth? What do you want to be worth?" And that really clicked in his mind, and he took off and he started learning and he started doing different things. And to make a long story short, he actually has his own business now where he does a lot of good work for the community. He adds value to the world. He is increasing his worth, and he continuously learns new skills, new abilities, new ways of doing what he loves to do. And he has really increased his worth. So I know this kind of talked about money a little bit, and this ain't necessarily all about money, but I want you to be able to understand that you have a fixed belief system about yourself right now that has led you to this second where you are right now. And I want you to challenge that. I want you to think deeply about where you are, what you want, and how you're going to get there. And I hope that this lesson is able to help you increase your self-awareness on who you are and what you want, and most importantly, what you're going to have to do to get there. Talk to you next time.